What were we just talking about? I forgot.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Spill the Beans. Tim Brott's here. I got one of my good buddies, Patrick Riddle, coming on today. And so Patrick is one of the foremost experts on marketing, ad copy, and anything in the info marketing space from a marketing perspective. He's an absolute rock star at what he does. He started in the real estate investment space back in early 2000s. Quit school, went all in, full bore into real estate investing, got his legs taken out during the entire real estate collapse. Still investing after that, but really got heavy into the info marketing side of things to try to teach people how to not do the mistakes that he made. And that's when I actually met him. I moved down to Charleston, saw a few of his videos that were shared with me, and I reached out to him and I sent him a message along the lines of like, dude, I will come and work for you for free. I will shovel your dog shit, like whatever you need me to do, if you'll just transfer some of your knowledge and some of that value to me so I can learn this business. And sat down with him, had a ton of great conversations. So really built a friendship over the course of the years, and really built my model based on some of my conversations with him early on. My business model of how I buy and hold apartment buildings. So anyways, Pat's going to be coming down, sitting down now. He has an info marketing business, really a publishing company that works with educators and kind of some gurus type in the space, the good ones, and helps people learn how to do all those different kinds of things. And he's going to share some remarkable insights. I'm going to really probe him for some insights on the marketing side of things and what he does and how he's managed his team. He's got a huge lifestyle kind of business where he makes a lot of money and has the lifestyle that he desires. So tune in, check this out. You're going to love this conversation. Mr. Patrick Riddle, how you doing, brother?
What's up, man?
Dude, I'm excited to grab some coffee with you, man. So we've obviously known each other for a long time, dude, and you were the first kind of like guru who kind of brought me under your wing and taught me about the real estate business back in 2008, 2009. I remember watching videos of you going around in the Jeep on Sullivan's Island and recording, and it's funny how it's like come full circle. Now we're like going to events together, we're talking at events together. I was just at your event this past week, got caught in an elevator together. That was fun.
That was crazy.
I swear to God, we are stuck on an elevator right now. This is one of my first mentors, Mr. Patrick Riddle.
That was wild.
But dude, I want everybody who's watching this to really know about like your journey a little bit and just talk a little bit about how you got started in real estate, but you're not doing that right now. And like, tell me a little bit more about why you transitioned out of the real estate space into being one of the top info marketers in the world.
Right on, man.
So tell me, dude. So tell me about your early days. I know like you left school, did a deal, crushed it for a couple of years, and then obviously the market turned. But
I bought my first property in the fall of 2002. Me and a couple friends had heard about real estate investing from someone in their late 20s, owned a handful of properties. He was telling us about some of the benefits, and that led us to Barnes & Noble, bought a couple books, and just a few months later we had bought that first investment property.
Yeah. And like you guys made a chunk of change on it, right? Like 20, 30, 40 grand or something?
We did well on it, decided to quit school and just dove into real estate full time. So in 2003, that was my first full-time year in real estate. I think we did 12 deals that first year, and we were off to the races.
So tell me about like jumping in, full steam ahead, ready fire, and then aim kind of a thought, right? Like, do you think that's a characteristic you see amongst a lot of entrepreneurs? Like, that's the same way that I am too, and I see that amongst some people, but I see a little bit more timid amongst some people too.
I definitely wouldn't suggest to everyone to just quit what they're doing and put all their eggs in one basket when something's brand new. Sometimes that's what forces you into the action that it takes to become successful. But some people that have a job right now, if they can start building a business on the side, to the point where it's up and running, bringing in a little bit of revenue, maybe even a little bit of profit. You know, for a lot of people, that's probably an easier transition into doing something on their own.
Yeah, like I started when I was 22 also, right? Like you guys were, what were you, 21?
Yep.
And so like, there's not much for us to lose at that time, right? Like the worst case scenario, we move back in with mom and dad or we figure out what's going on. But like, there's definitely a learning curve. There's definitely a period of, you know, shoveling shit and doing the work and planting the seeds and then cultivating those seeds, and then before you can ever get to a harvest, and that takes several years.
Well, and that actually reminds me of the first message that you ever sent me, which we could go back and pull it up, but I think it was a Facebook message where you basically mentioned that, you know, you had heard about my blog and maybe you were following some of my videos, and you offered just to work for me for free. Anything that you said you were willing to do anything, just to get your foot in the door and start to learn the business. And it was at that point in time when I realized, I was like, this is the kind of attitude of success. You know, this guy's gonna kill it.
And I think you know, you see a lot of people who just want to like hop on a call and pick your brain and like there's no value transfer there, right? Like I've realized that if you want to get somebody's attention, you have to be able to offer them some sort of value. And just saying, hey, if there's ever anything I can do for you, that doesn't really hit it. You know,
offering to buy them lunch doesn't cut it.
No,
that's not value.
Yeah, right.
That's taking time, you know, away from whatever you're focused on.
Family, business, like all the other things that you're working on. So like, what's the value proposition? And I think having a free employee, guess what? Gets somebody's attention, right?
Oh yeah.
And it was really cool. It's like, I remember you hit me up and you're like, dude, don't worry about it. Let's just go and grab coffee, because that's the kind of attitude that I like to see out of somebody that, you know, I'm mentoring, kind of thing. And dude, I told you this the other night before we got stuck in the elevator, I think, was like my entire business model was based off of that coffee meeting that we had. So like, you told me about tax-free refinance proceeds and essentially buying a property, fixing it up, doing the Burr method essentially, and then refinancing it, taking tax-free money off the table, and then holding on to it long-term for cash flow. And like, my mind was absolutely blown, and I'm like, holy shit. And I did that with a single family, and then I did it with some small like duplexes and stuff. And I started doing it with apartments, and that's what my entire model has been based on.
That's crazy. My first year investing, one of the properties that we had under contract in West Ashley, we had such a good deal on it that we also brought in a partner for the funding, and had such a good deal on it. By the time we purchased it and set aside money for the renovation, for the light rehab, there was enough profit left over to where we got a check for 20 grand when we bought the property.
That's awesome.
And it blew my mind. I was like, this is so amazing too, because you know, that 20 grand until we sell the property isn't taxable.
Yep, dude, it's amazing how you can structure real estate and how it benefits people. So like, I know that you guys did a lot with real estate. Obviously, you were partnered with Dusty Keefe, who grabbed coffee and is a member of my mastermind too. Yeah,
Dusty, you know, we've done well over 100 deals together in the early 2000s. Lots of single family, but pretty much about every kind of deal under the sun.
Dude, and he's a rock star, man. He's and I love it. He has his focus on, like, dude, he's very good, and he can go light the world on fire if he wanted to. But he really understands what he cares about, and like, so he does the number of deals, makes great money doing it, and then dude just crushes the barbecue scene and like, and wants to hang out with his boys. So like, I respect the hell out of that.
And let me mention this. Just make sure you're never on the receiving end of like being in a negotiation with Dusty. He's a killer, and so just watch out there.
I mean, he was telling me that he buys mobile homes for like $1,500 or just gets people to give them to him. He's like, do you got to pay me if you want me to take this mobile home? Like, I'm not doing it. Like, no, hey, I can get more from somebody else. Then you should do that. Let me walk out the door.
And then
they chase him out. Yeah. No, but that's all strategies, techniques, and stuff that you learn over time. Tell me about like the transition of why you got into the info space of educating people on real estate, and then And then we'll dive into like how you don't educate people anymore, but you work on the marketing side for info marketers.
Sure, man.
Like why did you make that transition?
Like as soon as I started learning about real estate investing, diving into it, like I never was like much of a reader growing up, but once I discovered real estate investing, I'm just tearing through books.
Yep.
And as I'm learning, not just about real estate, but marketing, management, entrepreneurship, leadership, anything I could get my hands on, I just wanted to share it with others. I just wanted anyone who was willing to listen.
Yeah.
I was willing to share what I was learning.
Do you come from, like your parents weren't educators or anything like that, were they?
Yes.
They
my,
were?
my mom's been a teacher
all
her life. My dad has been in healthcare and in the education system, but also taught some graduate classes at USC for a little while.
Yeah.
But like just being a teacher at heart,
Yep.
I think naturally.
That's how I am too, man.
Naturally, as I started having success in real estate, I saw myself eventually being at the front of the room, teaching, different strategies and tactics that I was implementing in the business and having success with. And like I love like seeing someone close their first deal and make money and whatever. But even more than that, oftentimes it's like helping someone break through a fear that they have, helping them make that first seller call, helping them negotiate that first deal and do things that they never thought possible.
Yep. Just breaking the mental barriers in their mind, and we all have them. And like, I think that was one of the big things for me when I went down the road of entrepreneurship, of like realizing that, you're in different. There's certain socioeconomic factors where you don't know what you don't know in certain socioeconomic settings, right? Like I come from a blue collar family. My dad worked hard. He was a police officer. My mom had a teaching background and was a stay-at-home mom. And like, you went to school, you got good grades, and you went and got a good job, and you worked there for the next 40 years of your life. You make that commitment, and you just stick it out. And I think from when I learned about entrepreneurship, and I learned all these different things along the lines of like you can build wealth. You don't have to work for somebody else for 40 years. Like you can fast track it and make more money in a shorter amount of time by working smart versus working hard. I was like, dude, I need to share this with my friends. I need to share this with people who are raised in the same socioeconomic class as me, because they don't even know that this kind of stuff exists, right? And it's not a bragging type thing of me trying to brag. It's like me trying to seriously help them of saying, hey, dude, don't be handcuffed at your job for the next 40 years of your life, and let me just show you how this is done. And then that turned into a lot of, hey, Tim, do you coach? Do you mentor? How can I pay you to consult with me? Like, what can we do together? And then that naturally turns into kind of like a coaching type business, right?
Yeah.
Which is what happened with you.
Yeah, and like in 2008, I decided to start a blog.
Yep.
It was Must Know Investing.
Yep.
If you remember.
I do,
and,
vividly.
Like I just decided to start putting out good content. And I figured if I did that long enough, something good would happen. Like lead with value.
Yep.
Like we were talking about earlier. And so about 6 months in, my goal was one post a week, one article at first, and then I kind of switched over to posting videos because that was just easier. Shoot a quick video, throw it on YouTube, post it on the blog.
How'd you get good at shooting videos, by the way?
Just practice.
Mess up, right?
know?
You just, like, everybody thinks that they have to be perfect on the video. The reality is, I think the mess up videos actually connect with people better than the perfectly formatted and the video, videography, edited stuff.
The first videos that I think are still on my YouTube channel are awful. Like, they are terrible. Yeah. But, you've got to learn somehow.
Yep.
And so just do it.
Yep.
And like anytime I'm doing something new, I'm studying and I'm taking action.
Yep.
And like you can study all you want, but if you don't have the action component, you're not going to learn it.
Yep.
Yep. You need
you do the activity and then you learn how to do it, right? Like.
Well, and so the first few years of basically getting into the education business, I started my blog. Once I was about 6 months in, I started reaching out and connecting with like other low to mid-tier blogs. Mm-hmm. Started commenting on their blogs. Started reaching out to just some of the guys that were running it just to see if I could offer any value with some of the content and expertise that I had to share with their audience.
Yep.
And the first...
Essentially, like this is before really podcasts existed.
Oh, yeah.
It was kind of like, how can I be on yours and how can you be on mine kind of thing, right? It was a transfer of value.
Yeah, and so the first two guys that responded to my emails, Trevor Mock, JP Moses. And, both of which I went into business with over the years. Trevor Mock and he had a website that had traffic and was kind of more the web entrepreneur guy, and I came in as the content expert.
Yep.
And so we then joined forces and created a product called Private Money Blueprint. I was really good at getting...
one of the first courses I ever bought, actually. Yep.
Which I was really good at private money. So like the first few years in the education business, all my products and services were around recruiting private money.
Yep.
Trevor Mock and I ended up going into business for a few years. I bought him out in 2012, and he's gone on to do pretty well for himself.
Yeah, he's figured out a couple of things, and dude, it's amazing to see how all of us got started, and you guys are just a couple of years ahead of like me getting into the industry, but like how much everybody's grown who are still in the industry, like who stuck with it, and how much they've grown and how their lifestyle's grown, how their influence has grown. Having the conversation with Trevor the other night was just like he's turning down multiple 8-figure offers, right, for his business, and he's like, no, not interested, because he knows what his vision is and he knows what he wants to accomplish. Like, at the end of the day, it's like it's not about the money either, right? Like once the money is kind of sorted out, now it's about impact. Now it's about achievement. How big can you grow it? How big can you build it? Kind of a thing, and just hitting the next tier and leading by example. I think, at least for me, it is.
Well, and it's awesome that there's so many good people in the industry that are out there teaching and educating and coaching and providing courses. There really are, and like so my education business, those first few years, all the products and services were me as the face.
Yep.
And in 2013, I kind of was starting to just not want to be, in the front man continually, and I wanted to figure out.
Was that a lifestyle thing, or like why?
I mean, like
because it's a real job creating content on a regular basis, right? Like it's a lot of work, and I don't think people realize how much work it is.
Oh yeah.
But like, I can see how that could get old after 4 or 5 years of doing it.
Well, in the 2000s, I was very heavy day-to-day in the REI business.
Yep.
I started building my info business a little bit, just sharing all the lessons that I learned. That was a big thing. Like, especially going through the big crash, I felt like I had a lot to share and help other investors. Mm-hmm. And so that was a big reason for me to go into the business.
Yeah.
But so since those 2000s, I've kind of on and off a little bit here and there, dabbled in real estate. But since by 2013, since I wasn't in the trenches day to day, I just felt like I wanted to find people that were and start to build our product line around what they're doing right now today in their business that's kicking butt.
Which is a noble thing, right? A lot of people just get into education. And they like the reality is, especially in single family, dude, I think you can make a lot more money in education with a lot less risk and a lot less headache than you can in actually flipping single family houses. Like, you can make $1 million in education by teaching people how to go flip, which is easier to do than making $1 million actually flipping houses in most markets, I feel like. And which is why I think a lot of guys get out of the flipping business and actually just stay in the info type business, but then they're not doing deals, right? Then they don't want to be, then they're seen as the person who doesn't actually do deals, who just teaches people, but they're not actually in the trenches anymore. So I think it's very noble that you notice that and you want to do the marketing side of it.
Yeah, and I was ready. I mean, pretty much when Trevor and I were partners, he was kind of the man behind the scenes and I was the front man.
Yeah.
So after buying Trevor out, I just decided I'm going to flip-flop it.
Yeah.
I'm going to lead the company as the CEO and chief marketer, and then find the talent, find the experts.
Yep.
And the first publisher deal that we set up was with Justin Wilmot.
Yeah.
We did a program called the 10-Hour Wholesaler.
He's a good dude, man. I like Justin.
Justin's awesome. And that product was
He's
great.
He's at Flagler Beach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That product was great for us for a few years, but basically he came to the table with the initial idea and concept, and the strategies were based on what he was doing in his business then. And then my company stepped in to help create the product, create the funnel, handle basically the sales, marketing, support, fulfillment, everything. So that Justin could just come in and teach. And we could handle all the details in between there. And so that was the first iteration of us, bringing in someone else to teach. And then in the years since then, we've refined that model. And really, about 2 years ago, we just went all in on it. The specific way that we create educational programs, the price point we sell it at, and the media in which how we sell it. We looked back in our history and had noticed we'd had really the most success with that type of product, and we stopped building out software in-house and trying to sell software. We stopped delivering and selling coaching internally, and so now we're basically a publishing company. And we work with other gurus, experts in the space, and we'll create new products with them and kind of have a cool collaborative way that we bring value to the table, and then they also bring value, and we both can help customers. And
how have you seen your business, by eliminating all the other noise, how have you seen your business grow over the past 2 years?
It's been incredible.
Isn't it wild? Like, everybody's like, well, I need to have my hands in a lot of different things to be diversified, or vertically integrated with everything. Dude, I have not experienced. Every time I've tried to do that and go wide, dude, it becomes a distraction, and it ruins all the businesses, and none of them end up really succeeding. By eliminating all that stuff, it's remarkable how much, at least my business has grown. I'd love to hear your take on it.
Like from 2018 to 19, we grew the top line by 60%. 2019 to 2020. Last year we grew it over 300%.
Did you really?
And this year we're hoping to double, practically.
Do you think it was a lot of, like, you do front end stuff for people with great back end offers, right?
We create products that are low price, that are in essence created to bring in new customers, and then we like to work with companies that already have additional products and services that they sell, like softwares and other informational products and coaching and events and all that.
More high ticket back end type offer, or masterminds or something along those lines. Got it. So, like, and would you attribute that growth to your focus on just doing that, or do you think the market played into it? Do you think it was a couple factors?
I would say there's three main things that helped us really crack the code to our business model and position the company to scale. It was refining our publishing model, which, the way it was originally structured, the vision was really just creating the front end product, sharing a little bit of the revenue of it, and that was it. The new publishing model, we basically had a vision past the front end product, and working with a company that's got all the other additional types of products and services that we don't, so that we can bring in customers on the front end and sell all the back end products that they have, and share in the profits. And so the shifts we made to the publisher model in 2019 were huge. Another big thing.
Do you think because you were more aligned with the coach, essentially, or with the guru?
It was a better.
Were you guys in the same boat, rowing in the same direction with the same long-term goal? Then
it was a better revenue model
for you, or for the coach, or for everybody.
Well, ultimately for all of us, we went to the point where we pay out nothing on the front end. All we try to do is cover all of our costs.
Break even on marketing, right?
Well, like all the cost it takes to produce a product, to send traffic, have your copywriters, all the team and everything. Our goal is just to break even on the front end, and then the other company we work with can sell all the products and services they have to that customer, and we can share in the profit on the back end.
Love it.
And so that shift in the publisher model, plus around the same time, I effectively fired myself as our chief marketing guy.
I love it.
By hiring a guy named Matt Proper as our marketing director.
Yep.
And the guy is an all-star. And I was spending all my time essentially just as our marketing guy and not spending my time as the CEO of the company.
Yep.
And once we brought on Matt, and I had to figure out day to day, like, what am I supposed to do now? I literally Googled, like, what does the CEO do? And
I love the resourcefulness, man.
starting
GTS, Google that shit, right?
So starting 2 years ago, I kind of had to refigure out, like, what does my day-to-day look like? Where's the highest leverage activities that I can spend my time? And in essence, I'm our CEO and our copy chief.
What have you found are the highest return on time for you?
I basically do three things. The copywriting big rocks, like the highest leverage points of our copywriting with our sales letters, creating new and better offers, the new products that we're coming out with, and then relationships with our publishing partners, with my internal team, and in the industry. So those are the three things that I spend my time doing, and I was able over the past 2 years to really transition all of my time out of $10 an hour, $100,000 an hour tasks, and all I do is $10,000 per hour type work. And there's a great chart in 80-20 sales and marketing, Perry Marshall, that shows examples of those type of tasks.
I love
that. That's been my guidepost. I just stare at it all the time, that chart, and look at it, and I've steadily just removed hats that I was wearing and got other people's in additional roles.
Have you seen a change in sales copy and marketing and from the early 2000s? Remember how it was like, it was a sales copy that was like friggin' 40 pages long, and it was just like over and over and over and over and over again, like go here, click here now. Has that changed at all? Does that still work? How has ad copy and the marketing world changed? Do you see people looking for more of a fresher perspective, or just a different perspective, or hey, it's tried, tested, and true, and it still works?
People love to declare long copy is dead,
right?
But it's not. Like you really to sell a front end product, one that you're acquiring customers, typically around $100 on the front end. Like, you need hard hitting, direct response, long form copy, to do it. Like, typically our sales letters for our products, or our videos for our products that sell our products, a lot of times are around 35 to 40 minutes. That's probably about 7,000 words.
So you're doing both written sales letters, but you're also doing video sales letters as well, right? From
a written letter, we create the video out of it, and like sometimes we'll have an option where someone can read the sales letter instead of watching the video. But in essence, all of our sales funnels are, when you land on the page, it's a video that's taking you through the process. How about we rewind real quick to that third?
Let's do it.
The third thing that made all the difference was all the things we stopped doing, and the fact that we went all in and focused on just our core business model of creating front-end products and scaling them. And like oftentimes I think, entrepreneurs, you're always attracted by that shiny object, and you're getting pulled in different directions. But if you've got a blog and you're trying to grow your Instagram, and then you're creating a webinar, and you've got a free plus shipping book funnel, and then you've got a book deal with a publisher, and then this other thing you want to do, none of them are going to go anywhere. Nowhere. That's a recipe for no progress on anything.
So how did you decide what you were going to eliminate and what you were going to focus on? Was it revenue driven? Was it what you like to do? Was it like...
both. Like, at times over the past decade, I've hit a wall and said, never again. Like one time in 2010.
Speculative land deals is that for me, dude. Like, I will never do another speculative land deal forever. I hate them.
In 2010, I spoke at at the time I was the face of our main course, and I spoke at maybe 10 conferences or events. In May of that year, I flew to some city and spoke at some event 3 out of 4 weekends, and I got home and I'm like, no.
Not doing it.
Not going to do it. I'm not going to be some road warrior. I don't care how much money you can make. This is not my lifestyle. And it's not that I'm turning down figuring out how to profit from that, but I was like, I am not going to do that.
I think that's been a big thing for me, like especially you got a baby at home, and well, not a baby anymore. What is she, 2 now?
3
now, and I got 2 little ones as well. And I'm like, I don't want to be a road warrior. I don't want to go and speak, especially on other people's stages, right? Like, and with COVID, like you don't need to do that anymore. Like you can just jump on a webinar and have just as much influence, or just jump on social media, which I want to dive into as well in a minute. But I'm sorry. Just keep going on.
When one of the other moments that was big for me is I had sold a coaching program that I not only sold it, but I also delivered it.
Yeah.
And it was very time intensive.
Yeah.
And it was one-on-one.
Oh.
And for what I charged, after that 6 months, I was like, never again will I be the one selling it if we're selling it, or be the one delivering it. Just because of me personally, how I wanted to spend my time. Nothing against coaching at all. But that was another moment when that was big for defining, how are we going to build this business?
Yep.
Like, yes, you can make a lot of money with coaching, but in essence, what we kind of figured out a couple years ago is when we create products for certain companies, like we can still get commissions and make money off of coaching, off of their coaching, not ours, and not have to deliver and not have to sell it in-house ourselves.
Leverage, dude. Leveraging other people's money, leveraging other people's efforts, leveraging other people's knowledge is like an absolute game changer from being a highly paid employee of your own business to actually being a business owner.
And so you said, like looking back, was it things, I guess, that you stopped doing, or was it revenue, things that were generating the most revenue or profit? And so in about 2 years ago, a little over that, I just looked at all the different products and services that we had ever sold, and we had tried a lot, from webinars and masterminds and the front end products, and then we had a physical newsletter that we shipped out and had a monthly program, and then we started building software in-house, all these different things. And in looking back at them, we were really mediocre at everything, except for creating the front end products and selling them through video sales letter funnels.
Love it.
That was what we had seen the most success with, and once we tweaked that publishing model, it was lights out. I mean, and we pretty much predicted in 2019, we're like, this is it, guys. Like, this is going to be big, and we thought a year from now this is where we should be with revenue, potentially with profit, and we were like dead on it.
Really?
And we really
those were ambitious goals too, right?
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah. It's amazing, man, what you put out in the universe and how it comes back.
It's really exciting. Like last year, we had our first $1 million month. This year, we're hoping to hit 8 figures and beyond.
I love it.
And after the first quarter of this year, we were right ahead of revenue and we were blowing out profit. So 2021's been a good year so far.
Yeah. How have you seen social media disrupt kind of that industry? Or how can people utilize it? Are you guys utilizing it a little bit more? Are you guys just buying ads on social media? Are you not doing that at all? Like,
it's amazing, and you're you're one of the best examples of using social media to build a herd, and not just paying for all the advertising, to get eyeballs and to build an audience. And it's really cool to see how many people. Guys out there now that have large audiences, whether it's through YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or whatever else, that they've built just by providing value and putting a lot of content out there, putting their life out there. That hasn't so much been our approach. Like we really decided a few years ago to crack the code with paid traffic.
Yep.
For a long time in the business, we had relied on mostly relied on other companies in our space promoting our products. We refer to them as affiliates.
Yep.
And so we would sell a lot of our products that way. But really cracking the code to being able to pay for a customer is so much more reliable and consistent.
I was going to say, like, it's very inconsistent what I can do because you can't quantify or create a predictable business around growing your social media.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, you can start asking more for sales, but then, your engagement falls off because nobody wants that. They want the pure content. And it's like what Gary Vee says. It's like, dude, just give, and then you ask. And you've given so much, people almost feel obligated to, like, this guy's giving me so much, I got to throw money at him, right? Because you've done that. But it's not as predictable as paid traffic. So I think there's probably a balance between the two of them,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I would suggest for anybody that's building an audience through a platform that they don't own, like, get the people on an email list that you actually do own.
Yep.
And an email list is still the best way to drive revenue.
Yep.
With an audience.
Agreed.
And so if you're, and like when you're on a platform you don't own, one day you can wake up and your audience might not, your profile might not be there anymore.
Yep.
So
100%, man. Like, you got to get people over to, like, we do free webinars once in a while and get people. There's a lot of people who want to jump onto those, and then that way we can connect with them via email as well. My events, right? Like a $500 Commercial Empire event. A lot of people sign up for that, and they come through that. I need to do something that's more low ticket. Like, I only have 3 things, dude. I have Commercial Empire for $500, which is a 2-day boot camp. I got my Legacy Boardroom Mastermind, which is essentially $1,000 a month. And then I have my Legacy Family Mastermind, which is $30,000 a year, right? So, like, I don't have anything other than that. What would you suggest that I put in place?
Well, it's interesting, like a few years ago in a mastermind when a real insight that someone in the room shared with me, or that was insightful to me at the time, in him learning about our business more, he's like, you need 3 steps. Like, you need 3 steps. It doesn't matter what the price points are, but you need 3. And he's like, if you have 100, 1,000, and 10,000. If you have 10,000, 30, and 100,000. He's like, you need 3 steps.
Interesting.
And so you currently have 3 steps.
Yeah.
And so it maybe it's figuring out a more effective way to currently sell into your $500 your event.
Yeah.
But certainly, if you wanted to cast a wider net and bring in Tim Brott's customers at a much lower price point, I would say probably the easiest thing to do is create a free plus shipping book funnel. And that's a lot easier to create than our VSL funnels that the front end's more around $100.
Yeah.
To be able to bring in a customer that actually works for paid traffic, I would say it's probably a little easier.
Yeah.
With the
Dude, I have the entire thing already written. I just need to add a couple more stories in there and then just publish it.
Nice.
It's one of those things where I just haven't done it yet, and that needs to be like a high priority on my list. Yeah, man, because that would connect me with a lot more people. The other thing I was thinking is, like, I'm more active on these social media platforms. So I got like these young kids on Instagram and TikTok hitting me up saying, like, dude, I'm 15, I'm 18, like, I want to get into real estate. And it's really cool and really inspiring, but like my following is like the 202 level, right? Like, I don't have a lot of entry level people that want to come out to my events, because it's more like, hey, I've been flipping houses, I've been wholesaling houses, I'm tired of the transactional rat race. How do I get into really building wealth and owning and holding real estate and rental properties, and doing it at a high level with apartments? And so, like, I don't have a lot of the entry level type stuff, which I kind of like, because I don't deal with a lot of like the mindset stuff that you have to deal with entry level. But who knows? Like, some of these kids are absolute studs and rock stars, and they could go light the world on fire over the next few years. And I'd love to do some sort of offering for that, like my first rental property, right? Like, go back to Tillman Street that you and I recorded that first video on, and we're gonna do a follow-up video on that and do like a side-by-side for sure. But be like, hey, this is my first rental property, and here's how you do it. And I'm thinking just give it away for free, right? Essentially for an email.
Right on.
not even try to sell it, like, hey, let me help you out, let me give you some value, and then let's just kind of stay connected long term, and eventually they'll get into apartments, and eventually we'll start doing some deals. And that's really like my end all is like, I want to do deals with my students. I don't just want to sell them the coaching. I make a lot more money from actually doing commercial real estate deals than I do from selling the coaching side of things. So it's like, I want to either fund their deals, I want to sign on their loans, I want to mentor and coach them through a deal, source deals for them, sell deals to them, buy deals from them, like whatever that ends up looking like, I want to do more deals. And so like that's, as long as I can get people connected and get them in the mind frame of a mindset of doing that, I think that would be, that's one of the things, like my first rental property, I think I'm going to do that.
Cool, man. Well, and if you do give it away for free, anytime you're on interviews, people's podcasts or whatever, where they give you a chance to plug a link, if it's the kind of audience that's more appealing to them, than a more advanced, your more advanced stuff, and that'd be a great way to start building that list.
I like that. All right, dude, I'm doing it. So what does the next 3 to 5 years look like? Do you even set long-term goals anymore? Like, I realize that things change so rapidly that I don't even do anything really longer than about 3 years anymore. What does your next 36 months look like? What do you want to accomplish?
It wasn't just to mention, like I usually don't have my goals that far out in advance, but fortunately for me, my CFO, Tim, every fall starts our budgeting process for the company, and essentially helps map out the year ahead. If I didn't have him, we wouldn't have our actuals versus budget.
Exactly.
Like it's amazing over the years as he's refined his budgeting model, how it's gotten more and more accurate. And at times, even if some things change throughout the year, and we put a little more attention to this and less over here, a lot of times it's pretty accurate. Like from here.
Are you going to go deeper into what you're currently doing? Like you're not going anywhere else? You're not going to launch new businesses, maybe just bring on more brand partners or something?
I'm being very careful to say no to as many opportunities as I can that don't squarely fit within our model. Because we can stamp out a new product and offer every quarter now. And for us to grow the company, we see a lot of room still to go deeper, an inch wide and a mile deep in real estate. But we do see the vision for the company within the next couple years or so, being able to use our model in another niche. Most likely still financial oriented, make money.
E-commerce, probably, crypto maybe.
Who knows? But we're really excited that we do feel that long term we won't just be a real estate investing publishing company. There's going to be opportunity outside of that. And right now, the pedals to the metal. I want to. I finally, for years, I didn't see a path to growing fast, and now we do. It's right in front of us. If we just execute on what we're doing and keep our head down, we feel like we can grow really big.
Dude, I love it. And I remember talking to. Because I obviously wasn't at your event, but I came to grab drinks and cocktails with you guys afterwards. And I remember I was asking a couple of guys, like, what was your biggest takeaway from Pat's Mastermind? And blah, blah, blah. And like a couple of them said that Pat is making more money than he's ever made and doing less work than he ever has. And I remember calling you out on it. And like, dude, how do you do that? Like, tell me about how you did that and give me some feedback on that, man.
It's really crazy, man.
It's been saying no to everything, huh?
Well, and that the journey over the last 2 years of getting everything off my plate that's not $10,000 an hour. Practically all the day-to-day work in the business now is off my plate. And so I get to the office, or now with my weekly calendar. I used to have recurring appointments with this person on my team and this appointment and this, and like I had a lot of weekly recurring. I got rid of everything, all of it, except for Tuesday afternoon I have 2 meetings back to back. And that's the only weekly recurring meetings that I have now. I've got a bi-weekly I do with a consultant, but in essence,
What do you talk about on those weekly meetings? Like, what are the things that you're measuring on those?
The first one is just our weekly team meeting. We're a virtual company. We've got people scattered across the U.S. and the world, and so for us, that's a time really just for everybody to get together and have some team time.
Are you guys talking about metrics and measurements? Are you guys you guys run on the traction model, right?
Not traction. We're implementing the 4 executions of discipline.
Okay.
The 4D model.
Yeah. Are you guys measuring anything on those phone calls?
Every week on our
or is it more just camaraderie
on our
type
team meeting doc, a lot of it's camaraderie, but on our and just culture, being around each other. But on our team doc, we always have the update of the total customer count all time that the company has, which is like 65,000 and change now.
Awesome.
And the goals, it's the road to 100,000. We're hoping to get there by the end of this year, and then 10x the mission.
Love it.
To the road to 1 million.
Yeah.
And so that's that. Every week we're seeing that number tick up in our total customer count. We have
and it's just the obsessive one value that everybody in the company can look at, and if that leading metric gets hit, everything else kind of falls in place, right?
Well, and it's that the 4D model with that book has you set. It calls them WIGs, wildly important goals. And so we ended up setting up 2 WIGs for our company for this year, which are to go from 22,000 and change customers that we brought in last year to this year bringing in 40,000. If we bring in 40,000 new customers in the company this year, we'll hit our revenue targets. And then the other wildly important goal specifically has to do with the average, basically the lifetime value of our customers, taking it from this number to this number.
Yeah.
Basically like a 10% increase on lifetime value. And basically those are kind of the 2 parent goals of the company. And we're still in the process of doing this, but both of those goals kind of trickle down to each department having a specific WIG that are things they can do, actions they can take to help that happen.
And I think that's important because people set the goal, but they really need, you don't measure amount of customers. What you need to measure is how much ad content you put out, or how many paid traffic, or what is the action that you actually take that yields that goal, right?
People need 2 sets of goals in essence. You need your results goals, which are the ones that people normally have. Like I want this result, but then you need the actions. What are the action goals? To hit that, I think I need to send out 100 mailers per week, put out 50 bandit signs, whatever your marketing plan is, and across the business, the specific actions that can lead you there. If you don't have those goals, then how are you ever going to get the result?
Yeah, you got it. You got to have the actual actionable items put in place, because that's what creates the predictability for what your achievements are, right? Like if you put out 100 bandit signs, or you make 100 outbound phone calls with offers, and it yields 2 deals, then guess what? You have predictability in your business of what you can achieve next month, because you say, hey, I want to do 5 deals. Well, great. Now you got to put out 250 outbound phone calls over the next 4 weeks, and it should yield 5. And what people don't realize is the more you do that, actually the better you get, right? So then all of a sudden the ratio increases with still doing 250, but all of a sudden it yields 6 or 7 deals from it. And but you focus not on how many deals you do and how many actionable, what's the activity that leads to that result. Tell me more about let's come full circle. You're making more money than you ever have. You're having more lifestyle than you ever had. Is there anything else that led you there, or what are you doing with your time now?
Well, it's interesting. You've got 2 opposing models. You've got Tim Ferriss, lifestyle business, and you've got Gary V, crush it, outwork everyone, and that's how to grow the business. Like a lifestyle business, if you look at the definition in Google, it basically says that you can earn a great income, but it's capped, and you can have your lifestyle, but you can't grow it. Gary V is I'm going to beat you, I'm going to outwork you, and so my business is going to be bigger than yours. Somehow, I feel like I'm now experiencing the best of both, because the work I do in the business has steadily decreased over the past years, my day-to-day work, and my lifestyle has stayed the same. If somebody came and just followed me around for a week and saw what I do day to day, they'd say, "You have a lifestyle business, sir." Based on the quantity of hours you work and how you work and what you're doing. But then they'd see our numbers and they'd say, "Dude, you're crushing it." Like, what? Like, this doesn't make sense. But it's, you know, it's been a big journey of just taking off hats, hiring more people, you know, building the team, and like not letting myself clog up the business's growth. Like, how long was I like, as our chief marketer, like, I needed to do what I did to learn how to be as good of a copywriter and offer creator and marketer as I am. But how long did I clog up our growth by not getting the heck out of the way?
Right.
Like, we as entrepreneurs at times, we're just clogging up the growth by continuing to do the things that we've always done, or think that no one else can do it, or no one else can do it as good as me, or I don't trust someone else to do it. You got to get past all that.
And so how do you get past that? How did you get to a point where, I mean, dude, you're one of the best copywriters in the entire country, the world, right? Like, how did you get to a point where you felt confident enough hiring somebody else to come in and do it as good as you?
I think just based on the experience of hiring people and some of them not working out, and then keeping, you know, just being committed to filling certain roles and finding someone that comes in and is a true A player, and then seeing how they can just revolutionize a position. And like, historically, I've been good at hiring some A players, but I'm not good at onboarding, training, or managing. None of that stuff. And so, like, the people that I hired that worked out great, it was because they were the right person, and I left them to do what they did, and they created everything. But one of the biggest things for me, because I'm not good at hiring, training, managing, onboarding, you know, was hiring the person on my team that hires people. Dude, that made such a huge difference.
Finding the who to do the how, right? Finding the who to do the what. Hiring that person who is an A player at doing that and onboarding and all those things. Like, that's a game changer. And I think that's what led you to having both a growth type business. Because, dude, like, there's a lot of businesses out there that have grown to billions of dollars a year in revenue, and the owner doesn't, I mean, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, right? Like, you, me, Warren Buffett, Steve Jobs, like, how do you grow that, Elon Musk, how do you grow that big of a business with the same 24 hours? It's not by working harder. I understand Gary Vee's mindset in that, at least for the first million, maybe even getting up to maybe like 5 million-ish. But in order to get beyond $5 million, maybe even $2 million, like, dude, you need to work smart, and you need to remove yourself from a lot of the daily operations, because we clog it up, because we get in the way. We, as the CEOs, a lot of times create chaos, right? And my COO is like, dude, get the hell out of here. Let me create order. And by me not being on the daily phone calls or even the weekly calls anymore, it's not like, you know, I come back with all these ideas and I just fire hose people, and they're like, dude, pump the brakes. We got to get through A, B, and C before we get to F. You know, it's working smart. It's putting the right people and processes in place to help yield that growth.
Well, and check this out. This was insightful to me at the Mastermind last week. Someone who has 2 employees in their business. They do solid revenue, but they do everything, you know, practically, other than a couple things. They're wanting that business to grow, but realizing that it's not going to grow because this person has multiple businesses and just doesn't have the time. And the question was, who should I hire next? And he's got support staff, basically. And I typically have always thought, I think in terms of, okay, make sure you have the support, the office admin, get those lowest level tasks off your plate. Somebody else in the room, Christina, says, hire a COO, and then they'll hire everybody. And I was like, boom. That's like
it's hard to eat that pill, though, dude, when you are not generating enough revenue. You know, like, so, I mean, Christina's business does a lot of revenue, And I think when you're going through, I think for anybody who's doing, up to 7 figures, you hire an admin, right? How do you get through that hell phase of $1 million to maybe $5 million, maybe even up to $10 million? Because you're generating enough money, but depending on your margins in your business, it's not enough to hire a C-level executive, right? But what I was able to do is I just gave them profit share or some sort of like incentive plan, even equity on a per deal basis, which allowed me to attract A players into the business, not take on a lot of overhead, pay them a base salary, and then they're incentivized the same way that you and I are as owners of the business to drive the business. And that's something you gotta be okay with, but in order to grow, man, you've gotta give up a little bit of control in order to hit that growth.
One thing that I would suggest is don't hire directly into a C-level position.
Agreed.
Hire an operations director.
Agreed.
That you think has the potential to ascend.
Yep.
Hire the marketing director, that you can eventually, they can prove themselves and earn into the C level, and then you're not paying just by not having a C.
Exactly.
You're paying 30%, whatever the number is, a lot less.
Yep.
And but it is tough when you're starting out if you don't have, the funds available to hire. A lot of times it is good to go through the process of having to do something yourself, but just don't stay there. Don't get stuck there.
Yep. Agreed.
For too long.
I just think revenue solves all problems, right? Like if you are generating revenue and especially early on, if you're focused on the revenue generating activities and you're making money, then you can hire the support staff.
Yeah.
Then you can get to a point where you take all those $10 and you're just focused on $100 or more or $1,000 and more activities. Now you're making even more money. That's when you can then loop in some higher level individuals and pay, an operations manager with the expectation and tell them this in the interview, like, here's where you're starting. Here's where I see you over the next 36 months or 60 months, and here's where I want you to be, and where and if you achieve at this level and you hit these goals and these metrics, then all of a sudden you will get there. And so I think, but you got to be generating revenue, man. Like the revenue generation solves all those problems.
What, you mean you can't just sit around shuffling business cards?
Dude. And it's funny because the non-quantifiable things, it comes full circle because like just being on social media, it doesn't generate revenue, right? It's like that's a long-term play.
Oh, yeah. You
need to be generating revenue, and then once you get to generating revenue, then you go back to the non-quantitative type things, like the relationships that like I heard Dan Gilbert say that. He's like, somebody asked him, what do you spend all your time on? He's like, the things that you actually can't quantify, being on interviews, like being on podcasts, like talking to the news or talking at events. Like I can't quantify what can come from this Spill the Beans episode, but likely something's gonna come from it. Something's gonna come from it for you and for me. But like we can't quantify that. But we can only do this because we've gotten our business to a place where it's come full circle, where other people are focusing on the revenue generating activities on a daily basis, and then we can focus on the non-revenue stuff, realizing that this will generate revenue somehow, some way.
Oh yeah. Well, in your positioning yourself in the position you are, anytime you're on an interview, anytime you're sharing content and videos, that's ultimately creating a relationship that could fund your deals one day, could buy one of your properties from you, could partner with you.
Exactly. So it becomes something like how do you essentially take them into that type of a relationship, And I think, like, dude, I've bet people just message me on social media, say, hey, dude, I got about $250,000 I'm looking to deploy. Like, you need any cash? I'm like, dude, you don't even know me. It's like, yeah, I know you. Like, I've been watching your content for the past 2 years. I've been following you for 3 years, and like, you're a good dude, and I like your business model. I like how you structure deals, and I like that. And I was like, dude, it's remarkable that you could never meet somebody and they want to invest with you.
Back in the day, in the 2000s, when I was recruiting private money, I'm doing one-on-one meetings. I'm even doing like some luncheons.
Yeah, right.
Nowadays, you send out a Facebook post and you've got $1 million in funding.
Yep.
It's wild.
As long as you do it legally, right? Like stay inside the line. Well, although if you're doing mortgages and promissory notes, you could talk about that on social media. You just can't do SEC syndication type stuff. But man, it's the marketing side of things, which, I guess coming full circle on this whole thing, like you're focused on marketing. I remember reading in a book, I think it was Kiyosaki's book, and they're like, some lady came up to him after a conference, and it was right after Rich Dad Poor Dad became a best-selling book. And the lady came up to him and she's like, I'm an English teacher and I've been studying, literature and language for my entire life, and blah, blah, blah. I've always aspired to be a best-selling author. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing to be able to meet you and meet a best-selling. Tell me, how did you become a best-selling author? What process did you go through? How did you learn to write? Where did you learn all this? And he goes, listen, pump the brakes here. I'm a best-selling author, not a best-writing author. And you think of, like, and she was just like, all the wind taken out of her sails, because she's been focusing on the craft instead of like the actual marketing side, right? Like marketing is what drives everything else. If you can get good at marketing, if you can get good at that side of things, everything else falls into place.
You can have the best product in the world, but if nobody knows about it, then the best marketer could have the worst product.
Yep. Or just an average product, like
it's like entrepreneurs are like allergic to marketing, like focusing on things that actually create revenue for some reason. Maybe it's fear, maybe something else, but
I think there's two things that are always an investment in your business and always yield a return on investment: people and marketing. Those two things, and both of them only yield if they're done the right way, right? Like you have to make sure you're tracking it, you're measuring it, you're training the people on your team, you're doing everything like. But those two things, once you have that dialed in, like you guys do, it's like, how much fuel can I pour on the fire? Because now you've got it figured out, and the more money you can spend on marketing, the more of a return on investment that you're going to yield, and the more your business is going to grow, generate more revenue. So, it's good stuff, man. Well, dude, I'm proud of you, man.
Cheers,
dude. There's a lot of good things that have happened over the past 10 years that we've known each other.
It's pretty wild. It's great. It's great to have you back in Charleston.
Oh man, it's good to be here, dude.
We've got a solid group of entrepreneurs here.
We do,
and
very entrepreneurial town, right?
Yeah, man.
And dude, I can't wait to see. We've all been through the struggle phase already, and now we've kind of like figured it out. I wouldn't say like we had this conversation the other night on the rooftop down the street of like, when do you know that you made it or not made it? And essentially all the answers came to like, we know that we don't make the same mistakes anymore, but we're still ambitious to grow, but we still understand what our lifestyle is. And so like, we're appreciative. We've got a lot of gratitude for where we are, but we still want to do some big things and have some big goals to strive toward. And I think like, now it's not about success or failure, right? Like the first 5 to 10 years was about you're going to succeed or fail. Now it's just varying levels of success. And I can't imagine where we're all going to be in the next 10 years,
Yeah, it's, I think I heard you say maybe the other day, just, it's amazing what you can accomplish in 5 years, which a lot of times people say you overestimate what you can do in 1, underestimate what you can do in 5. But yeah, man, I've had many ups and downs in business. The highs are high, the lows are low.
Yeah.
I'm on a high now,
yeah,
and I'm enjoying it. But I know it's, may not be like that forever.
Yep.
But it's from the lows that you truly learn the lessons you need to long-term experience the highs.
What are you making, we'll end on this. What are you making sure that you're doing? What are you putting in place now to make sure you don't experience that low of a low in the future?
Everything that I learned from the crash in the 2000s, late 2000s, it's just made me very risk averse. And I've got a family,
yep,
my wife, my 3-year-old daughter, and I just remember what it was like in the depths of it.
Yeah.
And I would never want anybody to have to experience that,
yep,
go through that kind of thing, man.
So,
literally having nothing, no money,
yep,
and still having a full-time job in a business,
yep,
that you have to operate and run. Yep. And pretty much anything that's ever bad happened in business or real estate or whatever, I've probably experienced it.
Yep.
But it's made me who I am today, and there's a lot to leverage into tomorrow.
A good buddy, Jason Medley, right? Who runs Collective Genius. And I was having a one-on-one conversation with him one time, and he's like, Tim, you know, I'm 15 years ahead of you on just life and stuff, and he's like, here's a couple things that I learned along the way. And one of the things that he mentioned to me was like, once you get to a certain point and you're making a certain amount of revenue, or you've created a certain amount of wealth, he goes, dude, you got to dig a moat around your castle, right? You got to dig a moat that nothing can penetrate. Like, put up the walls, dig a little bit of a moat, and once you know that you know you have a fortified financial life now, then you can go and push the next limit. But like, once you get there, dig the moat and set money aside, buy a few things, own it free and clear, put things into trust, put things into, you know, that you can't touch the money ever again, and you know your family's going to be taken care of forever. If anything ever happened to you, you got life insurance, like all those kinds of things.
Having your will in place,
exactly.
Life insurance and other things. It's
dig the moat.
It's those shoulds
Yep.
that a lot of people don't do.
Yep.
That if, you know, we can get hit when we walk out of here by a bus and not be here.
Right.
The last thing that we want to do is leave our finances in a mess.
Exactly.
For other people to deal with.
And just making sure that you've got that built around, and then, dude, then you know you have your safety net, right? And then, like, as bad as things, like, you're never gonna be, I'll never be as broke as I ever was, because I have at least the moat built around my family, right? Like, I got my house in a trust that's irrevocable, that I can't touch it, but nobody else can either. You know what I mean? Like, that's a good place to be.
I think having gone through ups and downs, like, I think also, I know that no matter how bad financially it could get for me in the future, if I'm with my family and we're living in an apartment, in a one-bedroom apartment, we'll be fine.
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't matter. Like, to me, all this has taught me is that money doesn't matter. Relationships do. A lot of people, when they get pinched, choose money over relationships. I always try to choose relationships. And it's not easy. Like, oftentimes there's disagreements in business, and like, I'm the one that's falling on the sword, taking the punch in the face, just to try to preserve another relationship.
I'm going through that with a couple of joint venture partners right now, man. But I like, you also wouldn't be where you are without that relationship and realizing that.
Well,
you just gotta stay level-headed.
Relationship's more important.
It is.
Bottom line.
It is.
And it's easy to let money compromise that.
And I think that's short-sighted when people focus more on the money than the relationship, realizing that, dude, relationship capital, man, like, you will see a return on that long term. And you see how people react in certain situations. And dude, I get fired up very easily, right? Like, I get very worked up in a quick way, and I've been known to burn bridges, and I've tried to be more and more level-headed on a lot of this stuff. And if it's a shortfall from, listen, I remember in baseball, dude, playing baseball in high school. If it was a physical error, dude, the coach didn't care, right? If it was a mental error or something that you should know better because of practice, or because you didn't do the right thing because of your values or something along those lines, that's less forgivable, right? Like, a physical error, just messing up on something and losing money or hiring the wrong contractor, like, you know, whatever that ends up being in business, dude, we can get past that. If it turns into a value type of an issue, and you're abusing the relationship, that might be a different story. But that's what I try to gauge now whenever we go through some tough times. And dude, some people have tough times and they really get exposed during the tough times. But dude, other people get exposed during really good times. When you're really profitable, there's some monsters that can come out in people, you know?
You get exposed on either end.
Exactly. You know, they get greedy. And so that's how a past relationship of mine, like a past business partnership, when I first started going, like, we were actually making money, and it just got greedy on that side, and then it just started clashing. So anyways, dude, great conversation though, man. I know that we always have good, insightful conversations. You're a very reflective person. You're very self-aware, and you're always looking at not what happens, but why it happened, how it happened, who made it happen, you know, like, what were the variables that led to that. And so, man, I always get a lot of insight from conversations with you, man. So appreciate you, dude. Appreciate the friendship. and excited to see where we both are in the next 10 years, brother.
Dude, thanks for having me here for coffee, and yeah, this has been awesome.
Dude, appreciate you, dude.
Boom.
So I hope you love that. Pat is an absolute amazing business person, but even a better human being. So I appreciate him. I appreciate his friendship. If you're not connected with him, if you're not following him, make sure that you are. We'll share his contact information in the show notes, and get plugged into some of the things that he's doing. So if you like this, if you got some insights from it, do me a favor and just share it, right? Share it with somebody else who's going to get some insights. Like it, comment on it. Let me know what kind of questions you have or you would have for him, and I'll make sure that I reach out to him and maybe do a follow-up video, because there's still a lot of things we didn't even get to dive into on this. And that way I can ask him some of those questions on future videos. So please like the video, comment on the video, share it, subscribe to our Legacy Wealth page. We got a lot more Spill the Beans episodes coming for you. So appreciate you guys. Be your best.